They're in Africa. They're lending money to countries to build ports and different
To build what?
Port,
And
harbors.
what's wrong with that?
And, well, because...
Countries that need ports get ports.
But they're making people dependent on... I mean, I know, it's the same thing that we've done, which is
No, it's not.
horrible around the world.
They are far more humanistic than the United States ever was.
Really?
So there's this video I want us to watch about China's involvement in Africa. But before we do that, I just want to make this disclaimer. I have always said that China's involvement in Africa isn't a bad thing in itself. But I have always cautioned that we be very careful when dealing with the Chinese, because the Chinese are very, very smart people. It's always very important for us to do our homework when treating or when dealing with China. That is something I think we as Africans must always bear in mind. Now, I understand that China has built a lot of infrastructures like roads, bridges, dams, hospitals, and so on and so forth throughout Africa. And these infrastructures are very, very helpful to us, the Africans. These are infrastructures that we, the Africans, badly need. And for that, I really appreciate China. But we all must not forget that all these infrastructures were not built for free. We paid for them, or we are going to pay for them. One way or the other, we will pay, or we have paid for all these infrastructures. Now, I'm not expecting China to build all these things for free, because China is not an NGO. China is not a philanthropist. China is not a charity organization. China is a country, and they are doing business in Africa. So I just want us to clear this simple fact first before we proceed with watching the video. And also, you can leave your thoughts and opinions about the video in the comment section below. And I will pause from time to time to share with you guys my thoughts and opinions. So let's watch.
I've been very concerned lately about China. They are now all over Africa, buying things and investing over there and getting those countries dependent on them and supporting, non-democratic people. And I'm just
Like
wondering...
whom?
There's one thing I realized about most people from the West, aka the Americans, right? They always like to put on the moral high grounds, so to say. Like, we are democratic and China is not democratic, and we do things the right way, but China does things the wrong way. We support, quote unquote, the right leaders, while China supports the bad leaders. But in practice, America and Europe have both supported terrible leaders in Africa. In fact, Africa is the way it is now because of America and Europe and the role they played in Africa, especially the French, the British. They have all contributed hugely to what Africa is right now. Throughout Africa, most countries are still underdeveloped. Most countries are barely, like the people in the countries are barely surviving. Most countries in Africa have authoritarian leaders. And these leaders are being supported by the West, aka America, Britain, France. And France is even the worst, in my own opinion. Because if you look through all French-speaking African countries, you will see that they are all the worst. The English-speaking African countries are far more better in terms of democracy, in terms of rule of law, in terms of development. They are way more better. The French-speaking African countries are the worst. So to see an American journalist or to see a Western reporter claiming that China supports bad leaders in Africa is really a joke. It's something worth laughing about. It looks like she doesn't really understand how her country does policies in Africa or what her country is doing in Africa. She really doesn't know. And she and to say that her country is supporting the right people, one would ask themselves, is supporting Saudi Arabia the right thing or the right people? I mean, the leaders, not the people. They are the leaders. Or is supporting Israel the right thing? So I could keep on going, but I guess you get my point.
They're in Africa. They're lending money to countries to build ports and different infrastructure.
build what?
Port,
And what's wrong with
harbors.
that?
And, well, because,
Countries that need ports get ports.
but they're making people dependent on, I mean, I know, it's the same thing that we've done, which is
No, it's not.
horrible around the world.
They are
but-
far more humanistic than the United States ever was.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So,
Let me give you an example. Of course, they are peddling for influence.
yeah.
Yeah, but they are non-interventionist. Absolutely non-interventionist in a way that Europeans, the West, has never managed to fathom. When it comes to the influence of China outside its borders, I have to say, firstly, it's quite remarkable that they don't seem to have any military ambitions.
To think that China does not intervene in the domestic affairs of other countries is stupid. It's like way, way naive. Now, China has a different playbook from America. America will come up front and set everything. I support this guy or I support that guy. And they will provide finances and ammunition. But China doesn't come up and said, I support or I don't support. No. What they do, they work behind the scenes. They support in the shadows. That's exactly how China does things in Africa. So for anyone to even think that China does not get itself or herself involved in the domestic politics of countries in Africa, that person is really naive because they do. And that's what superpowers do. They all do. Be it America, be it France, be it Britain, be it Russia, or be it China. They all get involved.